when you set somebody up, it seems like you know where they need change, where they need their blockages are.
Yeah.
How can you feel that?
師傅，當你去捉人哋嘅時候咧，佢話就見到你好似好知道咧邊一度咧係有問題，所以你就捉邊度。你係點樣可以做到咁樣樣嘅咧？
因為我感覺到你邊度啲肌肉唔活躍，我就捉到你活躍為止。即係我哋唔係講肌肉，即係習慣性就好難改。我哋講你入邊嗰層韌帶，即係關節同關節之間接觸嗰個活動嗰層韌帶，你係唔識活動嘅，我睇到，咁我就捉到你識活動為止。
Because I can sense, say which part of the muscles is still being tense up, and even deeper, I can sense the ligaments in between holding your joints. They are the conditions of the ligaments, how relaxed they are, and then I can fix exactly where the problem is. So sensing.
Is it possible to transmit Nim without touching?
Again, sorry?
Is it possible to transmit Nim without touching?
Through touching?
What you just did with Nima, and you was
transmit to her?
Energy to him.
To anyone, is it possible to do it without touching?
Without touching. 可唔可以傳念力而唔用接觸唔到而仍然可以傳到念力，得唔得？
難啊，傳唔到啊！要掂到，一定要掂。
It must be in touch. Must be in touch.
嗰啲傳到咧，只係一種神態。學得耐嗰啲，我企埋嚟咁樣望下佢，咁佢就得㗎啦。
For those without contact, it's because the learner himself also already attained a certain level, and he or she can receive signal. They can feel his mood.
But he can't do it without touch. Can't do it without. Can he transmit it without actually touching?
No, for his sense, no. Yeah. 佢嘅意思係話，可唔可以隔空傳嗰種念力咁樣？
唔得，
咁樣傳咁樣。
唔得。
No.
人都做得到嘅，只要我能夠捉到你隻手真係放鬆，你就做得到㗎啦。
Everyone has the potential to do this. As far as I guide him or her, he can have this kind of power. Just praising and stating there, and the power is there.
咁我就講一個，我就認為咧，任何女士都做得到，即係我經過我捉咧，就一定做得到嘅咁。我未試過失敗㗎。
In my opinion, every lady should be able to do this under my guidance.
咁有女士上嚟，佢係嗱，佢好聞名，我哋唔好講嗰個名。咁佢想睇完，佢想好懷疑咁，我想捉佢嚟試啦。我以為實得嘅。
But there was one occasion.
因為佢亦都係屬於武打明星嗰類嚟
嘅。There was a lady who has been a famous martial arts actor, and he came to my place, and I think I can still guide her to do this.
咁我就喺度試，我話我捉到你試到得為止啦。咁結果嗰次我衰咗啦。
Then I wanted and tried to guide her to do this, and I still think I can do that, but finally I failed.
等我想盡辦法，冇法子令佢啲肌肉放鬆喎。
I tried every method, but still can't guide her to relax her muscle.
咁就冇法子做到佢放鬆都有力量，改得到俾佢睇啦。
So I can't show to her how power can be generated from relaxation.
咁即係仲話，即係而家講，我幾十年來都未試過唔得嘅，佢顯得而家有一位練功夫嘅出嚟唔得喎。
For so many years, for decades, I have been successful doing this, but just this one occasion, you failed me.
所以我哋話個中國人講話世事冇絕對，真係冇絕對嘅。
So there's no absolute.
Yeah, so Master Chu's ability on being able to make people feel that deep relaxation through his correction, through his physical, joint manipulation or muscular relaxation, was quite remarkable. He could pretty much make anyone walking in off the street even give them a taste of what he was talking about, depending on the skill level and relaxation level. At least he could make someone relax their shoulder joint to that level. You know, if they were more relaxed, he could then start to manipulate their spine in that same way. But what most people don't know about Qigong is that he was, for a number of years, he was actually practicing Chinese bone setting. So he was a Chinese bone setter, which is like similar to, I guess, our chiropractor or osteopath. And as well as while he was still teaching Wing Chun, he was doing that as well. So possibly, maybe that's why he sort of, his teaching came this way, that he was doing a lot of tactile correction. And this is his style completely. He sort of made up this way of teaching. Ip Man didn't teach like this at all. He said, you know, he said Ip Man's teaching was, yeah, just do that, and then he would just go sort of like this and watch people, or just go have a sleep while people are training. So Ip Man didn't do any give any tactile cues at all. I was very blessed. I was very lucky to be able to come during this time that he was really working on passing on the feeling through touch. So I was at the end of that pretty much every day. You know, as long as I went there, he would. I mean, I was one of the very lucky ones for whatever reason, and we, you know, between the students, we talk within ourselves these days, like, oh, I wonder why he just left that guy to be on his own. He wasn't teaching this guy. For like, some people would come there, let's say 3 times a week, couple of hours each time, and he wouldn't touch them. So he was teaching everyone. He would describe, he would explain, but he wouldn't correct them in that way, and he would give attention to a select few. I was very, very lucky to be one of those select few. Sebastian was another one. Ada was another one. Ada's a lady that I put in one of the videos. She's pretty much the most relaxed person. She's got the most internal control, I think, out of anyone in this lineage. But yeah, so I was one of the lucky ones that got to get an experiential understanding of what he was talking about in different parts of the body, you know, from the knee to the hip to the tailbone to the spine to the shoulder to the wrist to the finger joints. So he was, you know, made me be able to feel and taste what he's talking about in all these different joints. And in the last since 2011, 12, so in the last 2-3 years, he started to try to teach us how to teach as well. Try to give us the touch, sort of like his apprentices, you know. So people would come for, usually if it was people from foreign people, let's say non-Chinese people, he would get me to try to correct them. Mainly it was myself and Ada, that lady, because we were there the most. We were there from open till close. So and as he was trying to get us, so he was, you know, saying, no, don't press here, say on the shoulder, don't press here, press there. Telling us where to press, but the most important thing he was trying to teach us is how to manipulate. And the number one thing, the number one requirement to being able to do it is to be able to put on the state yourself. If you can rise up the spine and relax to such a level where your hands and fingers are relaxed enough, he'll be able to, you'll be able to sort of give that message. Your touch is very relaxed, but you'll be able to penetrate to the person's muscles and joints and give that message, so they would respond by relaxing. And it's very interesting. In the beginning, Ada he could guide Ada to do it because her hands are super relaxed, like completely soft compared to my hands. My hands aren't soft, I guess, from doing a lot of weights before. My hands are still quite tense in relation to hers. And so he would tell us both, touch this part, and I would try. The person couldn't quite respond, and Ada would try, and usually if it was around the shoulder, usually if that person was quite relaxed, he would be able to respond. And in some other more difficult parts, I would try or she would try, and we couldn't do it, and then he would either put chi inside us or correct us. So let's say I'm trying to relax someone's shoulder, I have my hand on the shoulder, they can't quite respond, and then he would look at me and put me into that state or correct my spine. And as soon as he does that, suddenly I could penetrate that person's muscles, and he would relax. As a result, he would be able to feel the relaxation, and he would get the result of power in his arms, the person I was trying to correct. So it was something very, very real, you know. You could feel it, you could see it. And it was, it was, again, we were very lucky to have got that last couple of years of him teaching us how to correct people. One important thing that he said was, people should not be touching other people's spine, their students' spine and their joints, if they don't know what they're doing. If they can't do it within themselves, or even if they can do it within themselves, if they don't know where to press and how to, what kind of pressure to put on, what kind of intention is behind that touch, if they haven't explored that and haven't been taught that, then there's a very big chance that they could give the wrong message to the students. And it's quite interesting. Pressing the same location, I can either give a soft touch to penetrate, to relax the person a little bit more, or make it harder and actually make them push. So to make them open their shoulder, if you give a tense touch, they'll push it out, so you're giving them a tense message rather than a letting go and releasing message, So he was very big on that, saying, you shouldn't be touching people's joints and trying to give them a message if you don't know what you're doing. And it's not just doing it hard, even if you do it soft. For example, some people were just using the back of their nails to rub their nail on their students' spines, very softly rubbing their nail on the student's spine and touching the surface. And because the student, and they would stand there for 10 minutes going, yeah, rise up the spine, rise up the spine, and the student will end up, a couple of times the students passed out. And we heard this story and we asked Siegel said, yeah, it's because they're not giving the right message, they're just touching the surface, and the students really trying to listen to that message and try really hard, and probably they're holding their breath because they're trying to focus too much and focusing really hard, and they're passing out, So again, on this correction ability, my recommendation is if you don't know what you're doing, if you just see, Chu Shong Tin is touching here or rubbing someone's spine or doing this, I would say refrain from doing that. It's much better to explain properly and say, look, what I feel is this and this and this. Maybe try to do this and this rather than actually trying to manipulate their joints. Unless you've studied that and you know how to manipulate someone's joints for the better, maybe osteopathy or something like that. Maybe then mixed with your understanding of internal Wing Chun, once you get up to that level, you can start experimenting with that. But until then, I recommend just to keep it verbal rather than sort of tactile.